Commanders, morning. Our South Africans going to work. Aye. Commanders, morning. Our South Africans going to work. No foreign nationals.
You can see.
No foreign nationals. Only South Africans. Only South Africans, commanders. Only South Africans going to work.
The biggest crimes now taking place in South Africa in terms of rand value is fraud, white collar crime. We're now covering crime. You're going to be shocked. We have done cases in the last 18 months involving white collar crime where the profile of the criminal is white Afrikaans, male or female. Now, that's unbelievable. I've got two ladies, two sisters, who swiped 137 million from their employer over a period of 9 years because the employer had two sisters. You know, we talk about segregation of duties. Well, if you have segregation of duties to prevent fraud, you should also segregate family members, because when you have two sisters on either side of the segregated duties, it's cheers. They clean them out. 137 million. I had another case involving a guy, white Afrikaans male, who stole 35 million over a period of 10 years. And him and his family lived like kings, and nobody picked it up. And the reason they didn't pick it up, because of the lack of segregation. That same guy was the IT general manager, and he was an accounts manager for a large part of their portfolio. So he was able to clean his track as he went along. So I'm afraid crime in South Africa at the moment, it's not looking good.
We do not have a genocide in South Africa.
This South African farmer wants to set the record straight. He wrote an open letter to US President Donald Trump after Trump offered Afrikaner farmers refugee status.
But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white.
The first group of 59 Afrikaners traveled to the US in early May. It has raised questions about why a group of white South Africans of Dutch and French descent are being granted refugee status when the Trump administration has stopped all other refugee programs. De Jager represents a large farmer organization which has members across South Africa. He says while it's true that farm murders are a major problem, Trump hasn't got the facts straight.
I wrote the letter to Trump because I feared that he might have a misunderstanding of what is going on here. We thanked him for having sympathy with our cause, but we also said, rather help us to make things better here. Help us to, within our lifetime, fix the problems we have here. And it's not only a race thing. Black farmers have similar problems too, and we need those problems also to be attended to.
Trump's genocide claims are a result of brutal attacks on farmers in South Africa. Most of the murders happened during armed robberies. There's a large memorial at Nampo, South Africa's largest farming expo, dedicated to farm murders. It contains around 2,800 names, going as far back as the 1970s. One thing that stands out about this event is the diversity. We've seen many Afrikaners, but we've also seen many black people in attendance. This memorial includes the names of black farmers who were victims of farm murders, debunking the idea that it's a crime that only affects white people. And those we spoke to say while they are concerned about farm murders, they don't want to leave South Africa.
If people want to do it, I think it's a good idea. It gives them an option out if they want. But I personally would not do it. This is my country. And that is something that Mandela fought for, is for freedom for all.
I cannot really say there's a genocide in South Africa. The only thing that is happening is it's a crime in general. You know, in every country, in every places, we do have crimes, irrespective of race, you know. So I think the genocide issue is exaggeration.
So today is National Freedom Day here in South Africa, and I want to talk about what it means for me, a white male, who straddled the years of apartheid prior to 1994 and post-1994, 31 years of the rule of the new dispensation, the tripartite structure here in South Africa, the link between the ANC, COSATU, and the South African Communist Party. There's no doubt in my mind that we are not a free country. We are absolutely captured by corruption. We are absolutely captured by crime. And we are captured by a lack of political will of our politicians and the enforcement agencies in South Africa to do the right thing. They go after low-hanging fruit of people who are able to comply, do their tax returns, live by the laws of the land, but they get traffic fines and maybe they're late on their VAT payments, etc. It's much easier to go after white people in South Africa and therefore restrict the freedoms of white people in South Africa vis-a-vis black people in South Africa than it is to actually be pervasive among 70 million people. Because in effect, you're going after 4.5 million people, much easier to enforce the law with 4.5 million people. So for that reason, white people in South Africa are simply not free. Legislatively, we have 142 pieces of legislation in the country that prohibits white people from having parity with black people. That means white people cannot get the jobs. That means white people cannot get promotion. That means white people cannot live as freely as black people in South Africa. And the only thing that keeps white people floating are their capital reserves, in other words, the money that they've managed to save, and most probably good jobs for those people who are employed, but no new white people becoming employed simply because of that 142 pieces of legislation. As white people who own businesses in South Africa, the compliance requirements are ridiculously prohibitive, essentially stopping white people from having access to any supply-side funding to create new businesses, to grow their businesses, etc., unless they're prepared to take personal loans out from banking institutions, sign surety, sign over their homes, etc., etc. So economically, white people are captive here in South Africa. Socially, white people are absolutely captive in South Africa and are meant to be second-class citizens because that's redress of people who either lived under apartheid or, in fact, people who have been born after 1994 but believe they know what freedom actually means, when, in fact, they've got no cooking clue as to what freedom means. Now, those of us who fought under apartheid and fought against apartheid will tell you that we question what we were fighting for. Did we fight for the freedom of all South Africans to live under something called Ubuntu, which just doesn't exist? Because if we did, then we were absolutely under an illusion that would never ever come true in our lifetimes. Or did we fight for our children to have rights here in South Africa of parity and equality? Because if so, we were absolutely under an illusion, and that's never going to happen here in South Africa. So if we ask, what does Freedom Day mean to us? To me, as a white person in South Africa, it means that we are imprisoned by an economy that treats us as a second-class citizen, by a job market that not only treats us as a second-class citizen, but absolutely marginalizes white people here in South Africa, by a society that takes joy in being anti-white and racist here in South Africa. We are threatened by 142 pieces of employment legislation, of business legislation that absolutely discriminates against white businesses and white people generally in South Africa. And we are threatened by crime, which is absolutely rampant. It is something like 8 times higher than the death rate in Gaza on an annual basis. And we are threatened by absolute corruption. My final thought on freedom is that we got it wrong in South Africa with BBBEE, not because it wasn't the same plan that the Afrikaans Nationalist Party put in place after 1912 and 1914 here in South Africa to actually grow the entire community of Afrikaners into self-reliance, but because what BBBEE did is it created not a communal or a collective benefit for all black people in South Africa, but personal benefit for those people who were able to corrupt the country and corrupt income and corrupt legislation in the country to their own personal benefit and their very, very narrow circle of friends, rather than the black community as a whole. So there is no freedom here in South Africa, and do not pretend there is freedom in South Africa. If you're a black person, the majority of black people have it worse off than before 1994. And I don't care who wants to take issue with me on this issue. Just ask those people who straddled, like myself, pre-1994 and post-1994 to actually know the truth, if you're prepared to listen to the truth. And the majority of people born after 1994 are simply not prepared to listen to the truth, to facts here in South Africa.